Welcome back to the Unikaksha. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the data structures of R. In the last session, we have discussed or we have dealt with the basic atomic data types of the R. But what if I want to store multiple elements? What if I want to store more than one element in a single variable? We have not seen any of that type of structure where we can store multiple elements in a single variable. So today we are going to see that what are the different data structures that are provided by R. So let us just move to our RStudio for the further discussion. Yes, so I just hope you remember this was our last time's discussion that what are the different basic data types that are available in R. In today's session, we are going to discuss about data structures. So I just hope you remember the definition. Definition is when you want to store multiple elements in a single variable, that is called as data structure. But beware about this term, because data structure is also known to be one more definition, like how you want to store your data in memory. That is also called as a data structure. So be very careful when you say data structures of R. You are not relating it to the data structures such as queue or linked list or stack or anything of that sort. We are simply trying to say that how to store multiple elements in a single variable. That's basically the data structure we are going to see. I hope this is clear. And so let us first check that what are the different data structures that are available. So that is vector. There is one thing called as list. Then there is a data frame. Then there is a factor. Then there is matrix. And finally, an array. These are the different data structures that are available in R. Let us start with the first one, which is called as a vector. This is fundamental data structure of R. Vector is one-dimensional and it is homogeneous in nature. What do we mean by one dimensional? So let me just show you one thing very quickly. Let me open my Excel. This is the Excel sheet in front of you. So as you can see, whenever I click on any of the cell, you can find out over here, it shows the address as D3, here G4, here N8, here D23. What is this? So in order to locate a certain cell, you need to be aware about its row as well as about its column. This is called as bidimensionality. Coming back to our discussion of R, we are not having any kind of bidimensionality whenever it comes to vector, because you add up going on, the elements, when the last element ends, you add the next element and so on. So there is no need of having any row and column type of structure whenever it comes to vector. So it is called as one dimensional data structure. I hope this part is very clear. Homogeneous indicates that if you are creating a vector of numbers or numeric, everything has to be numeric. If you are creating a vector of characters, and everything has to be a character. If you are creating a vector of say logical elements, then everything has to be a logical element. That means whatever type of data that you have studied in a past session, if you are creating a vector, then make sure that all the elements of that vector must be of the same data type. That is either numeric or either integers or either characters or either logicals or either complex and so on. I hope this is clear. So let me just create one vector for you. So I'm writing this vector1 is equal to, wherever you are creating a vector, you have to use this function called as C, which stands for concatenation function. So concatenation function helps you to concatenate the multiple elements together, because you are going to store multiple elements. That's why you need data structure, right? So when you are saying that I want to store multiple elements, you have to write those multiple elements and those must be separated by a comma. So I'm writing any random numbers. There is no any strategy behind that why I am selecting this number, why not any other number. You can write any number of your choice and any number of entries of your choice. So I just created this vector. If you want to show this, then retype this. This is called as calling a variable. When you call a variable, it displays all the values that are contained by that variable. So as you can see on my console, I am getting all the results, right? That is what are the entries that are present inside the vector one. This is how you can create a vector. What type of vector is this? So just write class and write vector1. This is basically a numeric type of vector. Fine. I hope this is clear. Now, how to traverse a certain element of a vector? Traversing in a sense, which is the first element present in this vector? So that is 12. So what is the index of that element? Index is 1. That means 12 is present at first position in vector 1. Or 12 is present at the first index position, or 12 is the first element of that particular vector. That's basically what it indicates. 56 is the second one, 90 is the third one, 902 is the fourth one, 34 is the fifth one, and so on. So if I want to fetch the sixth element, I'll simply write vect1, give square bracket. Whenever you mention an index, make sure that you are writing that in a square bracket only. Write 6 inside this, run this, you'll get the result as 56. That means 56 is the element which is present at 6th position. Okay. So if you write vect1 and 10 over here, then it will provide you the element that is present at 10th position, that is equal to 34. If you are confused at what are the total number of elements present in the vector, use the length function, pass your vector1 object to this. So there are total 11 entries present inside this vector. What if I want to fetch more than one element? That means I want to fetch first element, third element, and ninth element. Then I'll write like this, vect1. I have to write multiple entries. So I'll write 1, 3, 9, something like this. I have to make use of the C function, concatenation function, because whenever you want to write more than one entries, it's compulsory to use the concatenation function. Run this and just try to see the output. So these are the elements present at the first, third, and ninth position of your vector. I hope this part is very clear to you. And now the next one. What if someone asks you to fetch the numbers from second index position to 10th index position? So what's the solution? You will write vect1, then you will give the square bracket, you will write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is quite a long cut, right? So is there any shortcut for this? Yes, we do have a shortcut which is called as a range function. So I'll write 2 to 10. This also will provide you the same result. So what I have used over here, I have used the colon. What does that indicate? So that indicates the range function or the range basically. What's the use of range? So in range, whatever you pass as the starting point and ending point, the elements which are present, including the starting point and ending point, are displayed as a result. So that's basically what the range does. So there is no need of writing this indices. You can simply specify the range over there. Now range itself indicates something more than 2, right? Because when you want to specify a range, it's compulsory that you have to specify these 2 elements. And that's why it is not compulsory to write this concatenation function. But if you are writing it, then also it is okay. If you don't want to write it, then also it is okay. But it's not a compulsion to mention C over here, as we were mentioning in the previous cases. I hope that's fine. Now, if someone asks you the question, fetch the elements that are present at the even index position. What do I mean by even index position? Even index position are nothing but the elements present at second, fourth, sixth, eighth, and 10th position, because there are 11 entries. So obviously at 10th position, my all even position elements will get over. So that's why I'm not writing 12 or 14 or 16 or something like that, because I know at 10th that's going to get over, right? So we want to fetch the even index position. Can I use range? No, because range comes with one default or one fault. The fault is, or the disadvantage, exactly a disadvantage, a shortcoming, we can say. The shortcoming of using range is the hop, or you can say the increment, is always of 1 unit. That means after 2 there will be 3, there will be 4. If I want to skip 3 and move, or if I want to skip 3 and jump to 4, it's not possible to do with using the range function. So I cannot use range, because over here I want to print 2, I want to skip 3, I want to print 4, I want to skip 5, I want to print 6, I want to skip 7, I want to print 8, I want to skip 9, I want to print 10, I want to skip 11. So that's why it's not possible to use range. So I just hope you got the reason that why range is not so useful. So what can I do over here? There is one more function available that is called a sequence function. Sequence function requires 3 arguments to be passed: starting index, ending index, and the hop, or you can say the increment that you want to take. Let me show you one very simple example of sequence function. If I'm writing sequence 1, 10, then it shows me the elements starting from 1 to 10 like this, as you can see in my console. But if I write sequence 1, 10, 2, then it will show 1, it will skip 2, it will show 3, it will skip 4, it will show 5, it will skip 6, it will show 7, it will skip 8, and it will show 9. This is basically how the sequence has been drawn. Similarly, if I want to show you the sequence of even numbers, then it will start with 2, will end at 10, and again the increment is of 2, so you can get 2 will be displayed, 3 will be skipped, 4 will be displayed, 5 will be skipped, 6 will be displayed, 7 will be skipped, 8 will be displayed, 9 is skipped, and 10 is displayed. So this is basically how the index is used. Going back to our question, what we have been asked? We have been asked to print the numbers which are present at the even index position of that particular vector 1. So now my task is very easy. I write vector 1, I'll write sequence function inside it. I'll say that even index position will start with 2. It is going to end at 10 because I have just total 11 entries and I want to increment by 2. So this is basically the elements that are present at the even index position. Similarly, if you want to show for odd index position, replace 2 by 1. So these are the elements that are present at the odd index position. So I just hope this is clear to you that how to use the sequence position or how to use a sequence. Whenever you are specifying sequence, there are two options that you can specify it without incrementation or with incrementation. If you specify without increment, so by default increment is 1. If you specify with increment, then whatever increment you are writing, based on that, the hop or the incrementation or you can say the jump is selected by that the particular query. Okay, so I just hope this part is very clear to you. Now, what if I want to change a particular value? So for example, if I write vect1 and 1, then it shows me the value present at first index. I wanted to store it as 112, but by mistakenly I stored it as 12. And now I want to change or I want to update it. So I'll write vect1, I'll write 1 again. And here I'll mention the correct value, that is 112. That's it. Rerun your vector1, you'll find out that the value is updated to 112. So similarly, whenever you want to update any certain index, for example, I want to change this 10th index to suppose say 500. I'm running this. I'm running vect1. So you can see that the value is changed to 500. Now you'll be confused that why I use this particular thing, right? So previously I was using equal to sign. Suddenly I use this particular sign. So both are having same meaning whenever it comes to R. One is equal to sign and one is less than hyphen. But be aware that whenever you are writing the sign, never ever give the space in between these two operators. If you give the space, the meaning would be vect1 of 10 position ka element is less than minus 500. So the meaning will entirely get changed. So don't make this mistake. I hope this is fine. That how to fetch a certain index and how to change the element which is present at a certain index position originally. Now, if I want to add one more element at the 12th position, I'll simply write vect1. I'll write 12. I'll mention that element. Suppose I want to store 150. So I'm writing 150 over here. I ran this. I will run vect1 again and you can see that 150 is added at 12th position of this vector. So this is basically, the strategy that you can use, that if you want to replace a certain element, write the index of that element. If you want to add a new element, then to write the index. If the index is already existing, then the replace operation takes place. If the index is not already existing, then it adds the entry at that given index. Now, what will happen if I write vect1, 15, and suppose I write it as 1000. Now the issue is, previously, what I was doing, I was aware that there were 10 values. So I added the new value at the 12th position. Now I know that there are only 12 elements present in this vector and I want to add new element at 15th position. So what will happen with the 13th, 14th, which are the remaining positions? Let us simply try to check it. I'm running this. I'm running my vect1 again. We'll find out that at those remaining position, it adds any. Because you said that you want values till 12th position, you are not writing anything on the 13th as well as on the 14th. That's why it took the value as NA at those places. And finally, you added the value at 15. So it added 1000 over there. Next is how to remove a certain index position. So if you write vect1, if you write 1, it displays the element, right? It displays the first element. Now let me display this vect1 to you. Let me display this vect1 and -1 to you. And yes, let us just check the output in console very nicely. So this is vect1, which is having 112, which is the first element. When I wrote vect1 -1, if you have noticed enough, the first index entry is not present in the output. So when you write vect1 and -1, that time it will exclude all the elements which are written inside this index before proceeding with minus. So currently you are writing 1 over here. So it will exclude the first element and will display remaining element as it is on your screen. But this is excluding is not a permanent. For example, if I run vect1 again you will find out that 112 element present back in your data. So how to remove a certain index permanently? So suppose if you want to remove that 112 permanently from vect1, you'll say vect1 is equal to vect1 -1. What will happen due to this? So whenever you are writing like this, you are saying that exclude first element, whatever is the result, store that result inside the vector 1. So already vector 1 was having some kind of entries previously. All those entries will be overridden by this answer. That is, you have to exclude the first index. Whatever are the remaining entries, that will be overridden in the original result of the vec 1. And that's why now if you try to run your vec 1, you'll find out that the entry that was 112 is now permanently removed from that vector. Okay, so what we have seen how to create a vector. We have seen how to traverse a vector. We have seen how to fetch the element at a particular index from the vector. We have seen that how to use a range function. We have seen that how to use the sequence function with vector. We have seen how to update a certain entry from the vector. We have seen that what will happen if you are trying to append the entry to the vector. And we have also seen how to delete a certain entry from the vector permanently as well as temporarily. So we can call it as excluding versus deleting. Exclude is not permanent, it's a temporary. But when you say you are deleting, that means you are making the permanent changes. So that's it. We have discussed a lot of things related to the vector in this session. In the next session, we are going to discuss about one more very interesting topic called as factors preceded by the data frame as data structures of the R. So till the time, stay tuned. Thank you. Bye-bye.